directly to the Senate on February 18th. February 18th, the Talleyrand-Pichon document, together with the nomination of Murray as minister to France. The turbulent protest with which the Hamiltonians received Adams's decision strained his patience, but did not lessen his positive state of mind. He wrote to Abigail Adams, your sickness last summer, fall, and winter has been to me the severest trial I ever endured. Not that I am at this moment without other trials enough for one man. I may adopt the words of a celebrated statesman, whom, however, I should not wish to resemble in many things. And now, good judge, says he, let me ask you whether you believe that my situation in the world is perfectly as I could wish it, whether you imagine that I meet with no shock from my superiors, no perverseness from my equals, no impertinence from my inferiors. If you fancy me in such a state of bliss, you are wide from the mark. The great bulk of the Federalist Party, the moderates, approved of Adams's action. Henry Knox wrote Adams saying that 99 out of 100 persons would share this approval, but that the president should beware of the 100th part. Those persons who have an influence over the mind of that part and who affect to suggest to, correspond with, and even to influence the conduct of certain characters in the executive departments who would loudly fault the measure of the nomination. He himself thought that Adams's decision had been one of the most dignified, decisive, and beneficial ever adopted by the chief magistrate of any nation, soaring above all prejudice and regarding the happiness of the nation as the primary object of his administration, and in pursuit of which he nobly hazards his reputation until the mist of ignorance of party shall subside. The enraged Hamiltonians, however, now set about stalling the new mission. Sedgwick dashed off a note to Hamilton on the day after the announcement. This measure, important and mischievous as it is, was the result of presidential wisdom without the knowledge of or any intimation to anyone of the administration. Had the foulest heart, the ablest head in the world, been permitted to select the most embarrassing and ruinous measure, perhaps it would have been precisely the one which has been adopted. Hamilton returned an answer immediately. The Senate should try to have the commission increased to 3. The step announced in your letter just received, in all its circumstances, would it astonish, if anything from that quarter could astonish. But as it has happened, my present impression is that the measure must go into effect with the additional idea of a commission of 3. The mode must be accommodated with the president. Murray is certainly not strong enough for so immensely important a mission. Pickering wrote to Hamilton in utter despair. We have all been shocked and grieved at the nomination of a minister to negotiate with France, he stated, but there is but one sentiment on the subject among the friends of the country and the real supporters of the president's administration. Pains have been taken to ameliorate the measure by throwing it into a commission. John Adams, what is there not to appreciate about John Adams? He loves Abigail Adams. John Quincy Adams, he was against slavery. He didn't have to have slaves. Fucking Washington had to have fucking slaves. Just the Alien and Sedition Act, is that the only thing? He even treated Haiti with, respect. Would Haiti have even won their revolution if it wasn't for John Adams? It was 1804, right? But the president is fixed. The Senate must approve or negative the nomination. In the latter event, perhaps he will name commissioners. I beg you to be assured that it is wholly his own act, without any participation or communication with any of us. The foundation for Murray's nomination, Pickering concluded, had been laid in Adams's speech at the opening of Congress, in which he had peremptorily determined, against our unanimous opinions, to leave open the door for the degrading and mischievous measure of sending another minister to France, even without waiting for direct overtures from her. After holding off the president for a couple of days, the Senate referred Murray's nomination to a Federalist Commission of 5, headed by Sedgwick. The committee then made a rather irregular call upon the president to try to persuade him to postpone the nomination. Sedgwick outlined the visit for Hamilton's benefit. The senators met with the stone wall, for throughout the conversation, Adams declared repeatedly that to defend the executive against oligarchic influence, it was indispensable that he should insist on a decision on the nomination. And he added, I have on mature reflection made up my mind, and I will neither withdraw nor modify the nomination. Nonetheless, he was not opposed to a joint commission. In fact, if the Senate rejected Murray, then he would propose a joint commission. Ultimately, the Senate did not accept a commission of Murray, Chief Justice Oliver Ellsworth, and Patrick Henry. And Henry later declined, Adams nominated Governor William R. Davie of North Carolina. That, Sedgwick mournfully told Hamilton, is everything which, under the circumstances, could be done. Could be done. Could be done. Anne Husted Burleigh, John